Dear friends, thank you so much for joining me today. I want to share a deeply moving, fictionalized journey, one of silent courage, unspoken fear, unwavering love, and ultimate hope. It's the story of Mark Consuelos, a man you know from television, but in our story here, he faces a challenge the cameras never capture. And by his side is Kelly Ripa, his partner, his support, his silent anchor. The tale takes us through 10 major turning points, the struggles, the revelations, the quiet defeats, the surprising strength, and finally the uplifting triumph of love and resilience. Prepare yourself, the story will touch your heart, gently shake you, and it will leave you with hope. If you're in the 60 to 65 age bracket, I believe you'll especially feel the resonance of life's deeper meaning, of time, of legacy, and of the power of standing together through the darkest nights. It began silently. Mark Consuelos, the confident actor, the smiling husband, father of children you've watched grow up, began noticing a faint change. It wasn't dramatic at first. A persistent cough, hardly alarming. A fleeting fatigue after filming, as though his body whispered, "Rest." But he dismissed it. Who would expect something like cancer? Not him. The cameras, the interviews, the social media highlights, his public life glowed. Yet privately, a whisper. One evening, Kelly observed him sitting quietly, staring out a window. The joyful banter between them had paused. She didn't yet know what lay ahead, but she sensed something wasn't right. Mark squeezed her hand, smiled weakly, and said, "I'm fine, really." But inside his mind, a growing suspicion throbbed. The whisper grew louder. What if it wasn't just tiredness? What if it was something more? And that sets the stage. The first question looms: when do we listen to our bodies? When does a whisper become a scream? Weeks later, the hospital corridor glowed with muted lights, the sterile smell of antiseptic. The doctor entered, calm, professional, but Mark felt a storm inside. Lines of worry creased his face. The words came, "You have cancer." How those words fell like stones in a quiet pond, rippling fears everywhere. The specific type remained confidential for this story, but imagine, a diagnosis that changes everything in a heartbeat. Kelly was by his side, her hand warm in his, her eyes swimming with unshed tears. For her, the world paused. For Mark, the ground shifted beneath his feet. He watched the doctor leave. He watched Kelly's expression. He tried to stay brave. "We'll handle this," he said. But his voice quavered. He wondered, how do I tell the world? How do I protect my children? Will I be around? And yet, there was something in Kelly's look, a fierce compassion, a silent vow, "I'm with you." In the weeks following, Mark began treatment. Radiation. Chemotherapy. Blood tests. Late-night hospital visits. The visible actor facade faded. He lost weight. He lost energy. He lost the carefree swagger. He watched his reflection one morning and hardly recognized himself. The Mark everyone saw? Not fully there. He decided to keep the diagnosis private. Only Kelly, his closest friends, his doctors knew. Why? Because in their world, privacy meant dignity. Because he feared pity. Because he promised his children he would be okay. Day after day, the battle raged in shadows. Sleepless nights, nausea, moments of despair. Yet he still walked onto sets. He still smiled at cameras. He still told the world he was fine. Kelly watched. She cooked soups, hand-fed him when necessary, massaged his temples, whispered prayers when sleep fled. She held his hand at 3 a.m., when pain made him moan. At one point, Mark nearly collapsed on a studio set. The crew thought he was fainting from exhaustion. He shrugged it off. Kelly intervened. She said quietly, "We need to stop." But he pushed on. That relentless battle pressed on. The world saw nothing. But inside, a war was raging. In the midst of it all, Mark began to ask himself, "Who am I now?" He used to be the strong husband, the leading man, the father with energy. But now, he was fragile. He was lying to the world. He was afraid. He felt ashamed that the disease had struck him. He felt, suddenly, less of a man.